What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mo Money School, the school that teaches you everything that the school system should have taught you. I'm your host, Chris Mo, and for today's episode, do I have a treat for you? We're going to be learning about the 5 books that changed my life and the books that you're going to have to read in 2021 in order for you to be successful. Now, these books have completely changed my life, and if it wasn't for these books, I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. These books taught me sales. These books taught me money. These books taught me about people and just life in general, and honestly, you have to read these books. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I love new students, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button. It helps me out tremendously. All I want to go ahead and do is share all the knowledge that I've learned and pass it on to people who with similar circumstances like myself. A little bit about me. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, in other words, the hood, and where I come from, there was nobody, and I mean nobody, to teach me anything about anything, especially not money. So I had to learn everything the hard way. Either way, I grinded, I went through it all, and I struggled, and now I go ahead and run a successful construction company in the southern Los Angeles area. In other words, I help renovate homes, and I've been doing it for the last 3 years now, and I just love it. I also am a recent graduate from Cal State Northridge with an economics degree. So I just know business, and I love business, and I love helping people, and I just want to go ahead and share this knowledge to the people out there, so that way people like myself can move up there out in the world, because I feel like people in the hood don't get the same advice or the same education as a lot of people out there, and it's just unfair. But it doesn't matter, because the school doesn't teach us anything. Self-education is the best thing out there, and that's what this video is all about, self-education. For this episode, we're going to be learning about the top 5 books for 2021 that you need to go ahead and read. Now, the way we're going to go ahead and tackle this down is by letting you know the book, who's the author, where you can go ahead and get it. Everything should be Amazon. And then the 3 key concepts that I got from each and every book and how it affected my life and why you should be reading it. Again, I don't want to go ahead and spoil the book. I really do want you to go ahead and read these books. These books aren't really ranked in a specific order, but they kind of are. Based on my journey, I got them at each and every single time that I was struggling with, and I'll let you know when you guys should be reading them. But either way, book number 5 should be the book that you read last, and book number 1 should be the book you read first. So book number 1 is called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure all of you have heard about it. It's a really popular book. Unfortunately, I don't have it as a physical book like the books I have back there, but I do have this book in a PDF file, and this is one of the very first books that I ever read, and I have it on my iPad here. So it's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like you guys can see, I read through the whole entire book, ebooks are a really great way to also read. I would highly suggest you guys start getting into ebooks. I am now getting into audiobooks, which is great. The reason why I would recommend this, because this is a really easy read. It's gonna get you just started into thinking about how the world works, the circumstances that you're in, and in reality, this hit really hard, because I grew up without a dad. My dad has been in prison since I was 3. So this book starts talking about how there's a poor dad and there's a rich dad, and how there's this kid who grew up with a poor dad, but he knew nothing about money. So his dad was always working for money, working just a salary wage job, and never really was moving up in the world. Where one of his friends' dad was actually a rich dad who knew everything about money and investing, and just suggesting to him about the ways it's possible to actually gain wealth. So one of the key concepts that you can get from the book is the fact that, yeah, you might be born in a circumstance where there's not going to be much people to teach you anything about money. So you're going to have to go out there and learn it yourself. And this is one of the key concepts I got from the book, because there wasn't anybody to teach me about money. My dad wasn't even in the presence, and my mom was working all the time. So I had to learn money elsewhere. On top of that, it also taught me that I needed a mentor. You're gonna need a mentor in order for you to move up in the world. That's just how it works. And the great thing about it is that there's people like myself who are a lot older than me who actually want to teach, people, because if you guys know anything about humans, Humans are sociable creatures and they just like helping one another. As long as you find that person that wants to teach and you're ready to be taught, that person will teach you. That's another key concept that I learned from the book. And then the last final concept that I did get from the book is the fact that it's going to change your mindset from thinking of an employee mindset to a business mindset. I've gone through every single book. I've learned so many things online. I've bought a lot of courses online, and I've come to one conclusion, that the only way you're ever going to become really, really wealthy is if you become a business owner. That's it. Either you become a business owner, an investor, that's it. You have to own a business. That's the only way you move up in the world. You're not going to get there working your 9-to-5 job or your salary. You have to go into investments. You have to own businesses. That's the only way to true wealth. And that's what the book is going to teach you about. It's a really easy read. It's super fun to read. I would highly recommend it. That is going to be the momentum to the entire journey for your 2021. Now, book number 2 is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Again, I'm sure all of you guys have heard about it. And this is a really, really great book. This is a really old book, as a matter of fact, and a lot of people would highly, highly recommend it because it's the fundamental to every other success book and every other self-improvement book. If I can recommend any other book, this would be it. This is going to start your journey. There are a couple of key concepts that I learned from this book. Number 1 being that this is going to go ahead and tell you how to start your journey and how to end it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the journey process works, is that you're going to have to start here and you're going to end here. And once you get to that end goal, if you're anything like me, you're going to have to start another journey, and it keeps continuing, and you're going to hit a roadblock. You are going to hit a roadblock, and you got to figure out how to reset, and this book is going to teach you how to do that. Number 2, this book here is going to teach you about mindset. It's going to tell you that mindset is key to this whole entire path. Without having your mind in tune with the whole entire journey, you are not going to get there. It's not about who looks the best. It's not about who has the most money. It's not about any of that. It's all the mindset. And that's what the school system fails to tell you, that the mind and just confidence in the mind and knowledge is important to this whole entire process. Which brings me to the last concept that I got from this book, is the fact that it gives you all the keys of every successful person that ever existed in the world. This book tells you about all the great people who started, just success in general. I would highly recommend you even research Napoleon Hill and learn a little bit about him and who he was. But another reason why I put this as my top 2, because this is one of the second books that I read, and I actually bought this off of Amazon, and you guys can get all these books off of Amazon as well. But the reason why I bought this is because it was a used book, and when I received it, there was this really, really lovely note that says, "May this book bring you joy and prosperous rewards. Good luck, Becky Loomis." I don't know who that is, but whoever she is, this book has, as you can see, it's been beaten up because I've been reading it so many times. I've read it over 4 times, and I am so grateful for this book. Whoever she is, I am going to pass this book on one day, and hopefully it continues to deliver the rewards that it once promised, because I got what I wanted, and I'm only going to continue to get what I wanted. So I would highly recommend you start reading this book. It's a great read. It is a little bit complicated, not too much. Like if I put it on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably like a 5. So just read 10 pages a day. It gets easier. Now for book number 3, I love this book. This is actually a new book. It didn't come out so long ago. It's called Life's Principles by Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is one of the investors that is going down in the books. He's written several different stock investment books. He's a big stock mogul out in the real world, but nonetheless, this book is teaching you not only about life, but teaching you about business. I only read half of the book, so there's 2 books in one. The first part of the book is teaching you about life. The second part of the book is teaching you about business and how it relates to people. The key concepts and the reason why I love this book is that it teaches you everything about life. Money is not going to bring you happiness. You have to understand life and how it works. And there's not any other book that sees life the same way I do besides this book right here. That's the key concept number 1, that it teaches you about life. Key concept number 2 that you can get out of this book is the fact that it teaches you that life is a circle. It will teach you how to be prepared for certain events, and it teaches you about your weaknesses and your strengths and how history repeats itself. And there's one thing that I would just throw out there is the fact that there's events. There's events that are just going to happen. And the faster you realize that these events are going to happen, the faster you'll be able to overcome them, and the faster you'll be able to continue on your journey. But nonetheless, your journey is not a journey that you can take on yourself. And this book tells you that you are going to need help. It tells you everything on how you should see life. It is a really, really thick book. But do not be scared to read the book just because of how big it is. The bigger the book is, the more knowledge it has. So I would highly, highly recommend it. And just the last reason why I would recommend this book is the fact that it teaches you everything about life. So it makes life a lot simpler. It really makes life a lot simpler. There's even a YouTube video that I'll go ahead and put the description down below that will give you a complete summary of this book in the most friendliest and simplest and kiddish way possible. So I'll go ahead and put it down below. But another great read. Highly, highly recommend it, especially going into 2021 and the fact that we just came out of some weird events in 2020. This is going to help you move forward. Now, book number 4 is one of my most favorite books to ever read. I've read it 3 times. I've written notes about it. I have a whole notebook filled with just things I've read in the book, and I don't want to hold you guys anymore. That is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. As you guys can see, this book has been beaten. I've highlighted all over it. I've taken notes, and it's just been a great read. Dale Carnegie is an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur that was born a really, really long time ago, and he's written these concepts to pretty much tell you how to connect with other people. This book here teaches you about sales. The first concept that it teaches you is the power of influence. Now, one of the things that I tell all my students is that we're humans. One thing that makes us humans is the fact that we're not perfect. The fact that we're not perfect, we have to know our weaknesses. One of the weaknesses that every single human has is the fact that we can be easily influenced by certain things. We are emotional creatures, so we make emotional decisions. And this book tells you why humans are what they are and how their emotions can actually be something that you can use for your benefit, at least in the sales world and just the people world. Piggybacking off of that, another key concept would be that this book teaches you how to connect with people. And if you're in the sales game or you're just in the business game, you're gonna need this. If you're trying to connect with people, build relationships, this book is gonna teach you all of that. It's gonna give you examples. It's gonna be an easy read, and everything you learn in here can be applied to this day. And this book was written a long, long time ago. But nonetheless, this is a really, really great read and that I would highly recommend to anybody, because it's going to teach you how to connect with other people, how to sell, how to be a better human, and just how to build relationships. And that is the main concept if you want to move up in the business world or just the world itself. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. The more hands you shake, the more people you make. The more hands you shake, the more people know you. And I, for myself, would say that this book has been a really great help in my business world. So go ahead and get yourself a copy. Now, this brings me to the very, very last book that I want to go ahead and recommend to you guys. I grew up in the hood. This person who wrote this book grew up in similar circumstances like myself, single mother, was around drugs, and somehow figured out a way to get out. Get out and become the most successful person out there. I'm sure all of you guys have heard of him. His name is Kevin Hart. He's a comedian, and his book is called I Can't Make This Up: Life Lessons. I actually read this book before his Netflix series came out. I love Kevin Hart. I am a fanboy of him. He makes me laugh. I think he's one of the best comedians out there. I feel like I could connect to him just because of this book. One of the things that this book taught me is the fact that it doesn't matter where you start, that you can move up in the world. And if you know Kevin, you'll know that he didn't have the best background. He struggled with academics, and Academics just wasn't his thing. And he was able to build his career through grit, which brings me to the second concept, is the fact that the only way to move up in the world is through grit and hard work. I call it rise and grind. He calls it just working. You have to work your ass off. And one of the things that I got from his book was the fact that when he was first starting his career, he was actually traveling from like New Jersey all the way to New York overnight every single day for the last 5 days. And I know when I started my career, I had to travel about 30 miles every single day, which is an equivalent of about 1.5 hours every single day. And I would get up at 6 in the morning every single day. And it was just a routine 6 times a week. And I would keep saying to myself, if Kevin can do it, I can do it. If Kevin can do it, I can do it. And I did it. So this book helped me on my journey. And this is why I placed it in the last category, because this book is going to keep the momentum going for you. Because yeah, you can get started with all these books and it's going to start your journey. But when you're halfway through the journey, you're going to want to give up. And you're going to have to tell yourself that you can't give up, that you have to keep going, because this is, believe it or not, the fun of it all. Yeah, and you'll hear from a lot of entrepreneurs and you'll hear from a lot of successful people that it's not the end game, that it's the journey to getting to your end game that's going to be the best part of your life. And this book has taught me that. And the very last thing that this book taught me is the fact that life happens. Life happens. I am a great receiver of that. Life happened to me from the very beginning at 3 years old, and ever since then I've hit so many roadblocks where I just wanted to give up. I went through depression. I was really, really sad. I felt like the world was always against me, and Kevin did too. You know, even when he first started his journey, nobody believed in him. He was laughed at. He was criticized. He wanted to give up several times. He went into debt like crazy. And he got over it. So if he could do it, if I can do it, I'm sure all of you guys can do it. And just know for a fact that when you do hit that roadblock, that life happens. It's not going to be an easy ride. You are going to hit some bumps in the road, and you're just going to have to get over it. Do not give up and just continue to move forward with your journey. So besides that, guys, that's pretty much it. These are the top 5 books that I would recommend you read in 2021. These books have helped me out tremendously. It's made my journey a lot easier. It's reminded me what it takes to get to the top, how to build my wealth, taught me the language of money, and taught me that life happens. I need to understand life, and that if I hit a roadblock, I have to move forward. One thing is learning it, one thing is applying it. And if you don't apply it, you're never really going to move up in the world. But trust me, these books are not complicated. They are all easy to read. They are all less than $10. So you can get it off of Amazon, you can get them used, you can get Audible, and these books are completely different from what a lot of other people would recommend you. I recommended these books because they've been a great factor to my success. It's a really great read, it's an easy read, they're really funny books, and I know you would love them. But besides that, guys, if you happen to read these books, go ahead and comment below and tell me what you learned. Tell me how you like them, or if you didn't like them, then comment below. If you have any recommendations that you would want to tell me about, I would love to fill that bookshelf behind me, because I just love reading and learning. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification button. That way you're notified whenever I post up a new video. Also, that way you're enrolled onto my class and you become one of my students, because in this school, like I said, we're going to teach you everything that the school system should have taught you. So without further ado, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Class is dismissed.